Well, here we are getting ready for the Stanley Cup Finals. How about that? We will be doing a preview and prediction video for the Stanley Cup Finals. So before we start, please make sure to like and subscribe. And now we're back on into it. So, yet again, another matchup we wouldn't see in a normal year as these two teams play in the same division. And they've played in the same division since the 2013-14 season, excluding this year where they realigned the divisions. So, let's take a look at how these two teams got here. We all know Montreal came back from that 3-1 series deficit against the North Division winners, the Toronto Maple Leafs, in 1 in 7 games. Then had a surprise series sweep where they swept the Winnipeg Jets in 4 games. And then, as heavy underdogs, upset the Vegas Golden Knights to punch their ticket to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time since 1993. Now for Tampa Bay, the machine keeps going on. They haven't had a lot of snags along the way until round 3. They beat the Florida Panthers that were the 2 seed where they played underdogs, which I don't really feel like they've been underdogs any point in this playoffs. But then they beat the number 1 seed Carolina Hurricanes in 5 games. Kind of disappointed that series didn't go longer. And then they won the Game 7 with the shorthanded Yanni Gourde goal against the New York Islanders, who always make things really difficult. Now, before we start, I did want to say that Yoel Armia is in COVID protocol, so he will likely miss at least Game 1. So I just wanted to let people know that maybe didn't know that. And now, with that being said, we'll focus on some other storylines for these playoffs. And the first one will be, how can this dynamic duo of Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki do against Tampa Bay? Now, what I will say is they blew my expectations out of the water with how they performed against Vegas. I really did think that they were going to struggle pretty heavily, but they played really well against Mark Stone and his line. And Cole Caulfield finished the series with 5 points, 4 goals, 1 assist. That was really fun to watch him play. And then Suzuki finished with 5 points, 1 goal, 4 assists, 3 of those being primary assists. And yeah, these two players are really young, but they have done a very good job so far. And they play a huge part of their team's offense, which is what worries me because, if they can't perform, what's going to happen? But with what they did against Vegas, I feel really good about what they possibly could do against Tampa Bay. And we'll have to see how that goes. This is a very important series, though, obviously. This is as big as it gets. And yeah, Tampa Bay has the offense, but they also have the defense that could stifle these two. So we're going to have to see how they perform on this biggest stage. It will be interesting. It will be exciting. And I think, side note, in the 4 games that Nick Suzuki's played against Tampa Bay in his career, the Lightning have outscored the Canadiens 4-2. We'll have to keep an eye out on that. Now, with that being said, we'll move on into our second storyline, which, of course, is can Montreal end Canada's Stanley Cup drought? We all know about it. It's been 28 years, 28 miserable years, if you're a fan of a Canadian team or you are Canadian in general. And I didn't really want to talk about this too much because everybody's talking about it, but it is something worth talking about. It has been a lifetime, it feels like, since a Canadian team has hoisted the cup. And there's been 5 Canadian teams to do it, or to go to the Stanley Cup and not win it since 1993. And that is the 1994 Vancouver Canucks, the 2004 Calgary Flames with Jarome Iginla, the 2006 Edmonton Oilers with that crazy series of them and the Carolina Hurricanes, the 2007 Ottawa Senators that might be forgotten, at least for me. I feel like my generation forgets that they were a pretty good team in the early to mid-2000s. And then, of course, 2011 Vancouver Canucks with the Sedins. And that is brutal. It's the longest drought ever for Canadian teams. As the longest drought before this was 6 years, from 1936 to 1941. And, for hockey fans back then that were Canadians or fan of Canadian teams, you would probably be disgusted to know how long it's been, post-1993, because it was a norm for a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, the 80s, especially once the Islanders dynasty kind of, not crumbled, but tapered off, it was all Canadian teams, at least it felt like that. And, it won't be easy for Montreal, but I'm not even saying that everybody would be happy if Montreal ended it, but I think in general for Canadian fans or fans, just Canadians in general, it would be a sigh of relief that it's all over. You don't have to hear about it on Sportsnet. You don't have to hear about it on TSN. You'll still hear about it. This is a team that ended it, but it won't be 29 years, 30 years, 40 years, however long it could end up being. It would just be huge. To get it over with, everybody can breathe some fresh air. And we'll have to see if that happens. Now, this isn't a huge storyline here theoretically, but I think it could be the final storyline, is whether Tomas Tatar will be playing in the Stanley Cup Finals. I know that he had that killer drought of like 17 games where he didn't score a goal, and I think he just had 4 assists in that time. And some people seem to think the Canadiens don't need him anymore. Here's my thoughts with that. Let me throw it out there. Since he's been in Montreal, they've outscored teams 204 to 130 whenever he's out on the ice. When he's out on the ice, they play better. And I'm not saying it's every night, but over the course of 3 years, we can see that they just play better when he's out on the ice. They score more goals than the other team. That's what you want. And yeah, I know he had a down year, but tough goal droughts will do that to you. And right now, the Canadiens probably need all the offensive support that they can get. If you take away the final 12 games of the regular season where he didn't score those goals, his average for points per game would be .71. That's still really, really impressive. And it's, one of those things that they could use that offense right now. I know he's injured. I'm not really sure what the injury is, but it would be really huge for him to come back. I don't even know if it would work, but at least you'd have a chance to have somebody that could provide that offense. Now, let's say he doesn't come back. Somebody like Josh Anderson, I'm not trying to knock on the guy, but he is slumping, and he really needs to get a scoring boost now. Things haven't been as bad as I expected in terms of, the scoring chances and stuff like that, but he's just not able to finish. He's got 4 points in 17 games. If Tomas is not going to come back, he needs to give the team a boost. Somebody's going to give this team a boost. You can't just rely on Tyler Toffoli, Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, those guys. You're going to have more of a boost. Somebody that can not just chip in, but shoulder some of this load. Do I think he's coming back? I don't know, but it's now or never, and if he gets the green light from the doctors, let him go. It could be great for Montreal. So with all that being said, for the Stanley Cup Finals, I will be picking the Tampa Bay Lightning in 6. I know, it's terrible, but hear me out. I wanted Montreal to win, or I do want them to win the Stanley Cup Finals. I've picked against them in all 3 rounds. They've proven me wrong in all 3 rounds. Please, please, please do it one last time. I don't want Tampa to win again. I don't want this curse to keep happening for Canadian teams, because who knows when the next time a Canadian team will make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. Please end it all. Stop Tampa from getting this back-to-back championship. But I also did pick Tampa because I like their offense more than Vegas. I like their goaltending more than Vegas. And I think in general, yes, Vegas is a good team, but I've just, all year I've said Tampa Bay, I believe in them. I don't know if that's a Vasilevsky thing or what, but all year I've said I think Tampa is going to win it again. And that's a big reason why I picked them. Now, Montreal is going to have people, like I said, Josh Anderson step up. Because Carey Price is good, but Tampa Bay's got so many offensive threats that he's going to need as much offensive help as he can get. Now, other storylines we could focus on in this series, Montreal's 4th line, they've been outscored, I think, by 2 goals in the playoffs, but they generate more high-danger chances than the other team's 4th lines, and they do get some pretty good looks. You notice them, Stahl and Perry and stuff like that. Perry underneath the net. Stahl, I wish he had a little bit more speed because he might be able to finish off those goals, but that could be a big storyline here. And then, of course, another big storyline would be Tampa Bay's dominant power play against Montreal's penalty kill that in this playoffs has been much, much better than expected. And that's a big one. Obviously, Carey Price getting a Stanley Cup would be huge, especially for his legacy. We'll see how it goes. I am rooting so hard for the Montreal Canadiens, and we'll have to see. It's going to be a fun battle for this title, and the storylines will be buzzing for these Atlantic Division rivals. We'll never see a Stanley Cup between these two teams again unless something, God forbid, like COVID happened again. Now, who do you think will win the series and in how many games? Let me know down below, and let me know who you're rooting for. Also, please make sure to like and subscribe. Everybody stay safe. Have a great day. Stay away from COVID, and get ready for the Stanley Cup Finals. We'll be seeing it tomorrow. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.